Good afternoon, dear colleagues, guests, participants, organizers. My name is Medet Tairov. I will be the moderator of this panel session. My main activities are in banking sector, but I'm also a chairman of Innovation, Information and Digital Technologies Committee in American Chamber of Commerce in Kyrgyz Republic. First of all, I would like to say thank you to all organizers of this forum and welcome everyone who is here. I want to introduce my colleagues who is also attending our panel discussion. I would like to start with Tatu Mintalieva. She is one of the main people in building dialogue between business and government regarding IT regulation. Also I want to introduce Dinara Ruslan, lady who leads IT market of Kyrgyzstan by own example, and we all love to see their success. Aziz Soltabayev is well-known entrepreneur in IT sector of Kyrgyzstan, founder of the first and leading marketplace in Kyrgyzstan. Also to introduce Natalia Sitnikov, who is economic and commercial officer in US Embassy in Kyrgyzstan. So we want to discuss the IT industry in the Kyrgyz Republic because it's one of the most dynamically developing sectors of Kyrgyz economy, and of course it's developing the historical chance for Kyrgyzstan to enter the world market and increase export and integrate the country into world economy. We would like to discuss some questions like what the main figures of the IT industry in Kyrgyz Republic, specialization which Kyrgyz developers can outsource or develop products in, and what are the conditions of the training of IT specialists in the country. I wanted to pass mic to the first speaker, to Dinara, and we will have about 5 minutes of presentation, and then after finishing we will have a Q&A session of about 3-5 minutes. So welcome.
So hi everyone. As mentioned, my name is Dinara Ruslan. I'm CEO and founder of a group of IT companies called Codify. And today I would like to discuss about digital education for digital economy. What does it mean and why it's so important? Because at the end of the day, we always talk only about IT and IT industry, but it is like very difficult to understand what IT industry consists of. What are the necessary like resources, environment, ecosystem, and then so on. And apologies in advance, I'm a little groggy because I just landed a few hours back. I was flying from Singapore. And I'm just like on coffee. So to start with, the total global labor deficit is growing every day. As you can see here, my team, they found a lot of research and statistics, and it says that every year the shortage of especially IT labor is just increasing and increasing. And what we can do, because we all talk about IT, digital like transformation, IT projects and going digital, but if we don't have enough resources already like today, how we can grow and then keep talking about digital. That's when we decided to come up with a solution for our local market. After leaving Zensoft, me and my friends, we organized this Codify Lab. It's basically a Codify Academy where we decided to teach IT professions. But the key here is that IT, it's not only developers, it's project managers, product managers, data scientists, and then so on. So here we just like prepared like really brief information, how it works. Usually people think that you can just go and learn it and that's it, you're ready to start working, but actually it's very lengthy and resourceful process because at the beginning, you like the learning of IT profession, especially programming language, it takes forever. It's like learning a new language, like English. I was like attending a lot of different English language courses where I was promised to learn English in like 2 months, but it took me a few years, honestly speaking. So learning IT profession is like pretty much similar. Then the global smart education market size is increasing every day. Why? Because the COVID. Before COVID, all the education process, courses, school, universities, everything was offline. We used to go to somewhere to get some knowledge. But because of the COVID, we all were stuck in our houses and we had to survive and start learning online, offline, blended through different platforms and so on. So this is Codify Academy before COVID-19. It was like offline, like purely people used to come to the office and actually learn programming. And I think our teacher on Python actually sitting somewhere out there behind from this picture. And the training classes did during COVID and after COVID, it looked like this. Why? Because we all suddenly had to change and shift our process of learning, teaching, and not only for students, but actually for teachers, because the teachers the most who struggled. I mean, the teachers were stuck teaching literally via WhatsApp. Like my little sister, she was in 10th, 11th grade, learning via WhatsApp. I was just surprised how it's horrible. And the students were lost between several tools. And I think I'm not gonna lie saying that for the past 2 years, the quality and level of the students and graduates from school and whatever the education centers, it decreased. Like my sister had to go to different additional courses to obtain new skills. And that's why we decided to build our Codify LMS system. It's basically to automate our own education like a center, which is called Codify Academy. So basically what we did is that we came up with a CRM LMS solution where you can just plug in into one system and use it from joining the I don't know, education center till the end where you get the certificate and can apply for a job. So it has web platform, mobile platform, it has different languages and so on. I mean, these are really nice looking pictures, and we have language courses, kindergartens. So, and then at the end, I just wanted to mention that we're the first startup who actually just went through this in education, in edtech industry, this acceleration program at Anther, and we're still going through. But I just realized that it was an amazing experience for us to literally take the product, which was just an idea last year, and this year it has automated over 65 B2B organizations. We already were evaluated $1 million. We received our first investments, and then now we are aiming to get 1 million in investment from Anther in Singapore. And just mention that this is doable, and it's not only about teaching, it's not only about learning, it's not only about building products or building product for someone outsource. We need to think as an ecosystem, and I think that can be a main goal of today's discussion, because as a person who's been working in IT in Kyrgyzstan since 2016, I just noticed that when you concentrate only on one something, you always have missing pieces. So main message here today is that let's work on building an ecosystem all together with government, with different partners and so on. Thank you so much.
Dear colleagues, if you have any questions, I can pass the mic. And yeah.
Should I start? No, Q&A.
But actually, I wanted to ask from maybe what about the expectation from BIM's side, from the government or authorities? Maybe you need something, some support or something like that. Do you have some ideas about that issue?
I have lots of ideas actually, and even a list of requirements. Why? Because I actually just came this morning from Singapore, where I spent 2 months, and we had this many discussions with the venture capital, with angel investors, with different people working in the government and different acceleration programs. And what I realized is the main difference in Singapore is that it doesn't happen just one day all these acceleration programs and investors showed up in Singapore. No, the government actually opened up its borders and said, hey, international companies, international, I don't know, venture foundations, investors, and whatever startups, acceleration programs, please come to Singapore. We will waive the tax. We will give you a building. We will provide you full support. We will even give you tax refund or whatever you need. And they even supply them with resources, with different grants and so on. And even Antler, they just didn't show up in Singapore. They were invited. And then I was thinking, like, why, like me building this IT startup in Kyrgyzstan and Bishkek, actually I have to pack up my stuff, go to Singapore. I'm not really building there. My team's still here. My operation's still here. But because of the investors and Antler Acceleration Program is in Singapore, I have to go there. And I have to go back, not because I really need that government, no, because I need investment. And I am actually required to go back because they said, if we investing in you, you are so living in Pacific Asia. And the second requirement, they actually told me that if we want to grow to the global market, we have to actually be present there, meaning that I have to open up a legal entity. So before leaving Singapore, I was required to open a legal entity. And that's actually smart. I mean, they open up the government and the rules and regulation and tax and everything. And that means even like me going there just for the program, I'm required to open a legal entity. That means the money and everything will stay there. And eventually, most likely even me and my team will, like slowly, but eventually, like a move to the Pacific Asia.
Thank you, Dinar. Any other question?
Thank you for your presentation. Greetings, dear colleagues, friends. By using your own tool inside the Codify system, how do you set your pipeline for selling? How do you generate leads? Because, for example, from Tashkent, you have a direct competitor that calls KPI.com. They're working in Dubai right now. And how do you compete yourself? How you position yourself in front of 1S and other competitors just like you? And where do you get your leads? Thank you.
That's actually an amazing question, because that's the question we were trying to tackle with Antler mentors and partners, because basically sales, marketing, and expansion of the product, especially B2B product, is the hardest part. So we use like 3 different channels, like different partnerships, referrals, and like different specialists who refer us. The second one is definitely ads, and then the third one is the phone calls, just like cold phone calls through like databases. We already have clients from Uzbekistan. And answering to your second part of the question, how we differentiate, we only LMS system for education industry, for kindergarten, schools, language centers, who has a built-in CRM. We are not a separate CRM system where you have to pay for CRM, then pay for the LMS, and then have someone hired who will be syncing the data between these 2 different systems. And being as an owner of actual education center, I still have to keep up with Google Sheets and analytics and statistics and so on. And everything is already built in there. Why? Because we're the end user of this tool. So we basically built a perfect tool for our own academy and just decided to expand it. Hope I answered your question. Thank you.
So thank you. Then we go to the second speaker, Natalia. Can you start maybe?
Is it on? Yeah. There we go. Okay. It's a pleasure to be here, Maded. Thank you for holding this panel, and really an honor to be here with the other speakers here who have really accomplished a lot. I am a mere bureaucrat working for the United States government, but I really enjoy my job because as an economic and commercial officer, I'm able to meet different people from different industries, and that's especially true for IT, where the U.S. Embassy sees incredible potential here in the Kyrgyz Republic. So I guess in these remarks, I'd just like to share some observations that I've gathered in conversations with Kyrgyz entrepreneurs and IT leadership about the potential of this sector, some challenges, but also ideas and solutions for how to approach these obstacles. And I think, I mean, to begin, the market opportunity for the Kyrgyz IT sector is huge. I would say roughly 80%, given any company, they're 80% export oriented. That's certainly the case for High Technology Park, which has a special tax regime here in the Kyrgyz Republic. But they have incredible potential to enter the US market. It's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, as well as Europe and East Asia as well. And because of COVID, we're looking at not only massive industries, but industries that have experienced double-digit growth because of the pandemic. So we're looking at e-commerce, IT outsourcing and consulting services, in addition to products like Dinara and an LMS. I think also it's really encouraging that there's already a proof of concept here with the Kyrgyz IT sector. So it's not a nascent industry. It's been proven that Kyrgyz firms can compete and win clients in large markets such as the United States, such as Western Europe, including Japan and Australia as well. So they already have a proven track record, and they can say, hey, we can compete with people that share the common language, share the same culture, but offer an incredibly high quality service and product. And then I think finally, there's momentum and there's interest in the Kyrgyz Republic. We just heard from Jonathan Tower last evening, who announced a new investment fund into Eurasia and Central Asia specifically. So, Silicon Valley has heard about this region, and they're coming and they want to invest. I also see incredible talent. I talk to a lot of young people who are either studying IT or they have a full-time job, and on the side they're doing IT as well, because they say, I want to move into this industry because I see the potential. So having said all that, I think there are a few challenges or issues that entrepreneurs point out in terms of growing their businesses. So one would be differentiation and building the Kyrgyz IT brand. So at least in the United States, people are familiar with Eastern Europe, with Belarus, Estonia as very strong centers for IT talent. And Central Asia does come into the mix, but the main question is, how do we get other countries to notice the service quality here and the talent, and to differentiate it from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan? Or as a first start, do we say, come to Central Asia, and then we can partner you with different firms in each country? So I think there's a possibility there for the private industry here to partner with the government to really come up with a brand identity that they can then sell to these export markets. Another, real question is, how do you find customers, right? So you have a great local business here. How do you actually go about reaching out, generating leads, and connecting to those markets? I think here, and I'll talk about this in a bit, exchange programs come in handy, just because, business is people. We all know that. So people who are able to go to the United States, whether on exchange or for study programs, make connections, come back to the Kyrgyz Republic, start their businesses, and then take advantage of those connections to really turbocharge the growth of their businesses, using the networks that they've built when they've studied in the United States. And then the final challenge that I've seen come from many people is complementing the skill set of businesses here. So the tech skills are coming and they're being developed very well, but we need to layer on top of that marketing and sales skills and English language ability. So to really have the complete package of a strong business that's able to offer the technical expertise, but can you convey that to a potential customer? Do you have, the more business administration side to your team so that you can go to the United States, you can speak to them in English and explain your value add, also knowing that you're competing with native speakers. So that's why I think we also see English language ability, both conversational and technical, is going to be critical to maintain a competitive edge in these markets. So I think just a few thoughts on how to tackle some of these obstacles. Things like the High Technology Park, I think, are a great way to show that the government is supporting this industry. It's export oriented, so it's certainly more advantageous for the companies that are a part of such a regime. And also things like this event, right? So bringing together people from different countries, local experts as well. A lot of business happens at business forums and IT forums, so it's great that we're able to be here in person, but also virtually for many people across the miles. In terms of finding customers, again, I touched on universities and internships. So just as an example, the US Embassy ran an internship program called Tech Women, and it had women go to the United States, do internships with US companies, and then come back to the Kyrgyz Republic. And they have not only expanded their own businesses, but they've made roots with IT associations, and they're able to, I think, foment not only women's economic empowerment, which is also, I would say, a side goal of developing this industry, but again, using those connections that they make with internship opportunities in the United States. So, I would also encourage any young people to be looking out for exchange and internship opportunities in the US. And then finally, again, just touching on English language ability, I think that, anybody who wants to learn English or who's a student, we have local American centers all throughout Bishkek, and they offer free conversation classes and other resources to learn English. But again, anybody who's in a leadership position or you're looking at building out your team, you need to keep English language ability into account. And touching on the marketing and sales side, look at whether you develop those skills within your staff or you look to partner with somebody locally in that country, somebody who can then generate leads for you, bring them back, and is able to tell the story of the incredible talent that's here. So these are, again, just some thoughts, and always happy to hear from people in policy making or the private sector itself, to generate ideas. And I think we all are going in the same direction. We want the same things for this industry, and I think it has a very bright future.
Thank you, Natalia. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Natalia. Talan Sultanov, following up on your last point about English language, we just came back from a trip to villages that have no internet connectivity, but we found children who are very eager to learn English. So there was one girl, 11th grade, and she said they had in Kızıloy village a volunteer, Peace Corps volunteer, who taught them, and she spoke very good English, very surprisingly. And they said if we had internet connectivity, of course we would be able to learn online. But since they don't, I think this program of Peace Corps volunteers is excellent, I think, opportunity for them to learn English. So if the US Embassy can continue this program or expand this program, I think it would be truly beneficial for the local population. Thank you.
Yes, I completely agree. I do know that there are, the Peace Corps is looking at their operations worldwide to see when they can bring people back in country. And I know that's certainly a priority. So I agree. I think a mix of in-person and virtual is always handy. But yes, we certainly have that as one of our goals to bring them back in country.
Thank you, Natalia. Actually, I want to pass the mic to Aziz, and I want to say that the next speaker after Aziz, Tatu, will be presenting in Russian. He'll be singing. That's why if someone needs translation, please take these headphones.
Oh, thank you very much.
You.
I'm here with several profiles and positions. The co-founder of Internet Society Kyrgyzstan chapter. We do activities related to bringing internet connectivity to the remote areas of the Kyrgyzstan. As a founder of the KG Labs Public Foundation, we are boosting startup ecosystem in Kyrgyzstan for over the 7 years. So we are uniting, organizing events, and building skills. And as an entrepreneur, we are helping to build this industry by organizing Business Angels Association to unite business angels of Central Asia. So we just, as Talan mentioned, we just came from the trip to the high altitude mountains, rural communities, where some of the kids actually are missing this opportunity of industry of IT sector development, even though they have a great desire and willingness, motivation to kind of study IT professions. While some of the kids actually had to kind of relocate from their villages to the larger cities, like from Enilchek village or Kızıloy village to the cities, in order to get the education and have this kind of basic digital literacy. We have heard the stories that teachers in a Kızıloy village, we are in a lockdown and this village has no internet at all. And in this regard, the teachers, in order to get the latest information, have to move to travel 25 kilometers to the nearest place where there's internet, to download all the materials from the internet, and so to teach locally through the local broadcasting things. So these are kind of probably frontiers that we are working on and we will develop, and things that we should focus also in order to make it inclusive, so that all kids, all youth will be engaged and have an opportunity to develop. So my point that Kyrgyz IT industry has a great opportunity. By mobile broadband connectivity, we are in the top 3 countries with the cheapest internet globally that we actually achieved over the last 5 years of continuous focus and keeping the digital agenda on top by the government and civil society. And it opens actually a lot of opportunities for Kyrgyzstan entrepreneurs and IT sector. So should I say that Kyrgyz government conducts a lot of activities. It had created special tax regime for IT sector and the IT related sector, and it actually provides some fruits. Like over the last 5 years, the key export sources, or like export countries we are working with are United States, European Union, UK, Ireland, and some kind of neighboring countries. In 2019, KG Labs conducted some research on the skills in the subsectors analysis in Kyrgyz Republic, and we found that IT sector in Kyrgyzstan is well specialized and good on such programming languages as Python, and mobile development languages for Android, for iOS. And these are actually those languages and skills or frameworks that are well were on high demand by startups and the seed stage and early seed funding stages. And in this regard, Kyrgyzstan is really good source for finding partners, for sourcing, for testing, piloting ideas, and trying to have this kind of minimal viable products and develop product at the initial stage. These are skills that Kyrgyz IT community has. We have probably 5,000 to 7,000 active community members, but overall the number of from ICT enabled or ICT professions is about like 50,000-70,000. So primarily kind of education sector and skills capacity had been built by civil society, by educational programs, just the one led by Dina and her Codify learning teaching classes and many local activities. But the government actually conducts, makes efforts into that by changing curriculum and the standards in the tertiary education system. Well, first of all, actually it made kind of digital like computer classes available from not from the 9th grade but from the 6th grade, and then actually continuously integrating those digital skills into the kind of curriculum, secondary school curriculum at the tertiary education system starting from the year 2020, I believe, or 2020. It actually removed some barriers for, well, before that it was like 50% of the classes were actually required by the government, and so that universities were quite restricted by the number of classes and credit hours by profession, by skills that they could provide to teachers, provide to students. And from the year 2020 they could actually do like their own program by 80%. So in the long term, it would provide a lot of opportunities to prepare skills in the industry. At the same time, we are missing some skills related to enterprise level languages such as C#, C, like Java. It's growing, but still kind of needs to improve in order to scale up and work with the large enterprises. And considering the global view into the region, I would say that even though like Kyrgyzstan, really good IT destination, but still in order to be competitive and visible on the global scale, or according to the global to the list of the top IT outsourcing destinations, to be in the top 20, it cannot be without collaborating with other countries of the region, such as Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and other countries, so that only each of these countries has its own capacity and strong sides. Like, for example, in Kazakhstan has some kind of programming languages and frameworks related to fintech, which is good, and enterprise level language. In Uzbekistan, probably they will have more focus on the industrial level, skills, Internet of Things, maybe cybersecurity. Georgia maybe cybersecurity stuff, and all together with joint kind of efforts, we could be one really interesting IT destination that would be interesting for global players such as like Microsoft or the ones, so to have more kind of goods exported from the region. So in this regard, there's a huge room for collaboration between countries, for teaming up, for developing joint projects. And I believe that was the rise of IT, that there's a lot of activities where we could collaborate and conduct joint activities in order to be visible as a region, like really a good destination for outsourcing of IT services and products. Thank you.
Thank you, Aziz. Any questions? Yes, I just want to ask, I have a question from my side. And what is the specialization of the Kyrgyz developers have? And is it mainly outsourcing or product development as well? On companies from which countries is the export of Kyrgyz IT industry primarily targeted?
Well, Kyrgyzstan has strong focus on specifically developing on those languages that are really good on the initial product idea testing. It's like Python, which is good. Some frameworks like Node.js, Angular, and all the skills that are actually good at the beginning stage. And in terms of the investment cycle, they are good at the seed stage and early seed stage financing. But also we have one really kind of good remark is that we have a growing animation industry. So these are kind of YouTube channels that are quite popular. They are developing some kind of cartoons or some kind of animation for kids. And in fact, actually, Kyrgyz animators are on top 10 globally kind of top 10 channels, the most popular, and it generates millions of dollars, even though kind of it comprises, 25% of the high-tech park revenue. I believe it has a great potential. And so with this regard, the platform-based economies and startups like YouTube have a great potential and will have a potential for development. One of the key things is the cost of developing animation per minute. It's about 10 to 15 times cheaper than making the same 1 minute video than in Russia, in Ukraine, in Belarus. Of the same quality, but even our company is actually championing this animation industry, making global billboards for this industry.
Thank you, Aziz. And I want to pass the mic to Tatu. I think we will talk about more governance legislation. Okay, welcome.
Добрый день. Смотря на аудиторию, я поймала себя на мысли, что где-то в 2001 году у нас была подобная конференция, где мы очень долго дебатировали о том, что законодательство нам тогда не признавало программные продукты с открытым исходным кодом, потому что это противоречило законодательству об авторском праве. Сегодня, конечно, это уже прошлое, но несмотря на это, по сегодняшний день мы можем говорить о том, что право до сих пор смотрит в прошлое. Это самая консервативная отрасль везде, во всех государствах, когда законодательство ко всем регулятивным процессам относится консервативно. И в развитии IT-технологий это оказалось достаточно серьезной проблемой, потому что на сегодня законодательство является главным тормозом для развития IT и для цифровизации, и тем более для трансформации цифровой. И на самом деле сегодня на повестке дня стоит больше вопрос о трансформации права как такового, потому что подходы, ценности и культура уже давным-давно изменились, а эти 90 или более 90 нормативных актов, которые регулируют в Кыргызстане IT, они принимались в аналоговой среде, когда не было еще такой развитой инфраструктуры IT-решений. И когда мы обсуждали программу, ставились такие вопросы: сколько же процентов сейчас составляет IT ВВП страны в Кыргызстане. Мы посмотрели последнюю статистику, там показано 3%. И я считаю, что эти 3%, они очень сильно занижены, потому что методология подсчета общего объема до сих пор проводится по той методологии, которая была установлена давным-давно. И как считать прибыль, которую приносит IT, она остается старой. То есть вот еще один пример того, как влияет законодательство на IT. Несколько лет назад, это 2 года, по-моему, назад, Кыргызстан занимал 35-е место по объему экспорта IT-продуктов с других стран. Мы тогда лидировали в Центральной Азии. За последние 2 года эта цифра серьезно изменилась. Теперь все страны ушли вперед. По-моему, после нас идет только Таджикистан. Узбекистан и Казахстан перегнали нас. Почему это произошло? В чем причина? А причина та, которая всегда является, когда правительство или государство пытается регулировать IT-сектор. Мы это наблюдали последние 2 года. И в результате можете уже по статистике наблюдать, как законодательство или как правительство, так скажем, да, влияет на развитие IT. Это очень чувствительно. Это очень важный аспект, это регулятивная политика в отношении IT. Но в то же время мы наблюдали и видели очень много хороших примеров, когда у нас был быстрый рост. Например, мы берем телекоммуникационный сектор, когда правительство не регулировало этот сектор. У нас даже не было правил лицензирования. Тогда у нас был бешеный рост. И как только правительство начинает регулировать этот сектор, и цены растут, и усложняются процедуры. То же самое происходит в отношении IT. Как только начинает правительство или государство вмешиваться в эти игры, то у нас темпы сразу снижаются. Опять, это не правительство плохое, или это неплохо с точки зрения рассматривать эти процессы, нужно регулирование или нет. Это проблема того, что действительно право нуждается в глубоком переосмыслении и пересмотре всех процедур. С точки зрения законодательства для развития цифровой экономики, в которой мы сейчас нуждаемся, на самом деле на повестке дня сейчас стоит вопрос о том, чтобы ввести управление, основанное на данных. Ну, то, что мы говорим data-driven governance, да? И с точки зрения законодательства нам очень важно рассмотреть такие аспекты, о которых говорили предыдущие спикеры, о том, что нам необходимо рассмотреть вопросы доказательной базы для принятия решений. Мы же собираем эти все данные, которые, например, реализованы в проекте «Безопасный город», для того, чтобы только выписывать штрафы. Но никто не анализирует данные. Нужно ли нам анализировать? Да, нужно. То есть правительство должно думать о том, чтобы ввести законодательство, как использовать эти данные для того, чтобы совершенствовать управление. Нам нужно думать о том, как обмениваться эти данные должны между различными информационными системами и также между другими мировыми цифровыми экосистемами, которыми мы имеем дело здесь. Как вы видели реакцию в Центральной Азии на преимущественное использование таких цифровых платформ, как Facebook, YouTube, Google и там TikTok, то вы все заметили, что правительство в первую очередь думает о том, чтобы как ввести налоговые какие-то нормы для того, чтобы, поскольку они действительно тоже зарабатывают деньги на нашем рынке, то в этом смысле мы увидели, что не получили мы от этого никакого плюса фактически. Почему это происходит? Тогда правительство начинает делать попытки для того, чтобы предоставить больше преференций для местных игроков, ожидая, что местные игроки могут переплюнуть эти глобальные экосистемы. Мне кажется, в этом смысле есть смысл думать о том, чтобы гармонизировать общие подходы и рассмотреть такие вопросы, которые связаны с защитой данных, в частности, защитой персональных данных. Нам нужно рассмотреть вопросы, как между собой перекликаются такие вопросы, как большие данные и privacy. Нам нужно посмотреть, потому что роль государства заключается в том, что в первую очередь нужно думать о безопасности собственных граждан. В этом смысле должны вводиться регулятивные процессы. Но также опять мы наблюдаем, что когда страны вводят такие данные, когда все платформы в обязательном порядке и данные должны храниться только на территории определенной страны, какой эффект мы имеем от этого? Мы получаем плюс или мы не получаем плюс? Некоторые страны говорят, да, мы экономически получаем минус, но зато мы уверены в защищенности наших данных. Другие государства говорят, нет, экономические потери настолько высоки, что мы готовы пересмотреть этот вопрос в пользу того, чтобы ставить только требования, выставлять только требования о защите данных, чтобы эти требования выполнялись другими экосистемами, но при этом не снижали темпы роста экономики в определенной стране. Так много вопросов возникает на сегодняшний день. И в этом смысле мы думаем, что трансформация права должна происходить таким образом, что нужен все-таки более кодифицированный подход. То есть нужно определиться с принципами. Мы никогда не угадаем, до чего завтра технологии дойдут, какие новшества введут новые технологии и какие новые эксперименты может ставить искусственный интеллект и каких достижений они достигнут. И при этом, мне кажется, каждый раз пытаться на эти новые продукты вводить новые правила регулирования, это не очень эффективно, потому что в этом смысле тогда право становится достаточно серьезным тормозом для использования этих технологий и для развития. И поэтому нужен более такой глобальный законодательство, нужно, чтобы оно было гибким и открытым к новым темпам и к новым видам развития технологий. Кроме этого, мы также заметили, что очень много дискуссий возникает в отношении вопросов защиты информации. Одни страны говорят об информационной безопасности, другие говорят о кибербезопасности. Сейчас еще более совершенный подход пошел, это Digital Resilience, об цифровой устойчивости, да. И в этом смысле нам тоже надо все-таки определиться, какой подход наиболее выгоден и правильно, нужно выбрать правильный подход не только в правовом смысле, но и стратегически, поскольку это очень существенно влияет на возможности выхода IT-рынка, наших IT-индустрии на другие рынки, и в то же время заниматься защитой безопасности наших граждан. Также большим вопросом стал вопрос о совместимости стандартов и процедур обмена данных. Это тоже очень важно. Необходимо, вот Азиз говорил о том, что необходимо все-таки сотрудничать, и я тоже в этом смысле с ним согласна. Я думаю, что надо договариваться об общих правилах трансграничного оборота данных между различными экосистемами. В этом смысле тоже существует очень много геополитических определенных вещей, но и правовых, потому что практически во всех странах Центральной Азии одни и те же термины используются в различной интерпретации, и даже в этом смысле мы не можем договориться между собой. Я могу про законодательство говорить очень долго, но я хотела бы закончить свою речь о том, что нам нужно сделать так, чтобы все-таки право смотрело в будущее, а не в прошлое. Спасибо.
Вопросы? Questions, коллеги? Значит, как раз нужно на английском. Thank you, dear colleagues. I think we are in time. And thank you for participants for joining us for this panel session. And I think we have to discuss, and maybe we can discuss it later during the coffee breaks. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.